Hey everybody, it's Mike from Fishing the Mid-South, and I've got a bunch of parts laying here today. So I want to talk to you specifically about the Chaos Pro and the Baitclicker. So I've talked about, that's my one complaint about it. So I've got 4 reels here. This is from the Alios 400, and I wanted to point some things out. So on the Alios 400, to engage the Baitclicker, you slide this little guy in, and this interfaces against a nylon, plastic, whatever you want to call it, gear. And the reason I'm pointing this out is because my first thought was, well, I'll show you as I go along, but basically I wanted to point out that this is actually just a straight piece of metal, a little thinner than the tool here. So it doesn't bend down is where I'm going with that. And the reason I wanted to point that out, so this is the Abu Garcia Catfish Special 6500C3. So the way the Baitclicker works is pretty much like the Chaos XS50. So it pushes this in, and then engages against this big gear. And as you can see, it comes in and it bends down. So it's got a bigger surface area against this gear. And that's why I wanted to point out that 400 does not have that. It's still just a single little point. So as we look at the Chaos XS50, so this bottom part of the gear goes to the Baitclicker, same as basically in the Catfish Special for Abu. And this little gear, it interfaces with the larger gear right here. Interfaces with the larger gear, which then takes the smaller gear and turns the level wind system. Okay, so there's 3 gears. There's this gear, there's the other gear, the intermediate gear, and then there's this one. Not counting the fact these are 2 gears stacked on top of each other. So with the Catfish Special, again, you've got the same general principle. This top part of the gear interfaces with this gear, which of course then turns the bottom part of that gear, which turns the level wind. Okay, so again, a 3 gear effectively system. Now, when we look at the Chaos Pro, you have a single gear with the closer together teeth. See how this has much wider teeth at the bottom? So it's not a 2-layer gear, except that this gear here is a single gear. It doesn't have 2 layers like this one, or like the Catfish Special, which again has a much wider space between the teeth, much deeper in between the teeth. So because this gear interfaces both with the Baitclicker and the level wind system, but it interfaces at different areas of the gear. So they couldn't make this like put a bend at the tip, because you don't want to wear down the gear that interfaces eventually with the level wind system. The problem is that this gear is much like the top gear on these. There's not as much depth between the gears, and the gears' teeth are closer together. So that is why this is not loud. And even if you applied a little more pressure here, that's not going to do much except wear the gear down faster. And of course, I would have to do it with something that wasn't my finger, because that's going to definitely decrease the vibration. It's possible they also could have made this piece just a little longer, so it interfaced a little deeper with the gear, because it's really not that deep. Let me see if there's any play in this. I could slide it in some. No, it's pretty much machined well, so that there's no play in there. So I don't know if they could make this piece just a little bit longer, because all this does, so this spring goes to pull it against the teeth, and this spring kind of pulls it away for when the Baitclicker is not engaged. This piece moves out of the way. Yeah, they're just, if they made this piece a little longer, perhaps, but they really need to go to that 2-gear system. And what they could, in theory, do, they'd have to change, if they made a very small gear with just fewer teeth and deeper teeth, but it still have to be kind of a small diameter and about half the size, then they could take this gear and make it half the height and put a little spacer under here, possibly, or make this gear, the bottom part of this gear, a little taller, and that might resolve the issue. But I don't see an easy way at home to make the Baitclicker any louder. Anyway, it was just some research I was doing, looking around, trying to figure out why the Baitclickers sound the way they do, and I wanted to share it with you. Thanks for watching, folks. We will see you guys on the next one.